Games Workshop's Basement, hosted by John Quennell, Danny McDevitt, Val Heffelfinger. I'm Dickie, and it's Grim After Dark.
Hey guys, what's going on? Welcome to Grim After Dark, Warhammer's only late night show for some reason. My name is John. I'm here to misinform and entertain as we talk about the comings and goings of the last week in the world of Warhammer. But it is a task so massive, I refuse to do it alone. But before we get to the guys, let me tell you, and not jump about on the script. Full slate as always tonight. We're going to find out what we've been up to in the last week in our patented state of play segment. We're going to hit the low points of the community as we go around the net. Finally, we're going to test our hosts' Warhammer knowledge in our rapid fire new Beat the Clock game. The questions for Val and Danny right now is, do they want the big ones or the small ones? We're going to ask them. But first up, he's got a true bill of friendship, and he's advised me to state that he brings a wealth of tabletop knowledge and experience to the table. It is Daniel J. McDevitt.
John,
yeah,
thanks for the really solid intro. I really appreciate you introducing me like that.
It's almost like I skipped a paragraph entirely and then moved on to the next one.
No, I like that better, actually. If we can just keep it short and sweet.
That's
faster,
fair.
Slicker.
So you want me to sit and spend several hours writing and assembling this stuff and then just skip all of it to get straight to you?
John, yeah. I mean, I still do want you to spend the time. I don't want you getting rusty. Like, I think it's good for you to do that. It's good character development.
You're like, occasionally we're going to get there. Next up, he's back from his government-mandated paternity leave. He's tired, he's cranky, and he's ready to talk about things. It's our man north of the 49th parallel. It's Valerie Heffelfinger.
Ah, he's back, and I'm running the board. Ha!
Amazing.
That works really better when I don't hit the button twice, but that's okay.
Well, that's all right. There's going to be some fat fingering of various buttons that make the show work tonight. Don't worry about it one bit.
Yeah, John.
It's okay. We're gonna get to that in a second.
Hit the button multiple times.
It's a vibe.
First off, the button is hypothetical entirely. But second off,
Like a true Scotsman.
Val.
Yes.
As this is your first show back in a little bit here, I'm going to give you the option for the latest game that we're going to get back to you. Do you want questions or small ones?
Big cues. Love a big cue. Girthy cues.
Love it. I do want to point out here, you have been on your paternity leave, but you have been active this entire time. One of your tweets really caught my eye here is this guy right here. I'm just going to cue up the producer. I want to go to slide 1 now. Val.
Yes.
For the audio viewer, what are we looking at here?
Well, this is the sudden realization cat meme, who's perhaps sitting down to nice breakfast in his adorable cat suit, and he's reading something in the paper that maybe sparks an idea in him. And in this case, he drops his paper without spilling his coffee, and it says, "I don't care about 40K. I should play more fantasy."
It's good. We missed you, buddy. We'll talk about your 40K here in a little bit.
Crickets. John, did you write that joke? Damn.
Did have a little something lined up. That's okay. Usually at this point of the show, we would welcome Dickie. But Dickie is in this next picture here, as you can see, he is away for the next couple of weeks. I don't understand why this picture is like this.
Is this a joke or something?
Is this some kind of joke? Are we to believe that Dickie, a grown man, is wearing those shoes?
Exactly.
What are those shoes?
There's a passport inside?
Yeah. I don't even care about that. Like we've covered the Val shoe passport story so many times. I want to talk about Dickie's shoe choice.
I thought this was like an inside Canadian joke, and I was going to ask Val to explain it for us, but okay, my bad. So yeah, Dickie's in the UK. No, he's in Belgium.
Which probably was part of the UK at some point in the past.
Almost certainly.
Almost certainly.
There's a lot of the UK in Belgium, that's for sure.
That's fair, yeah.
Very dark history reference there, guys. A lot of battlefields in Belgium.
Yeah. Don't do a lot of research on that. Just trust us. It's fine. He's usually the man behind the curtain. He's a guy who's responsible for most of the things you see that isn't just us talking. But for the next couple of weeks, he's helping coach Team Canada to respectable, what I imagine to be 7th or 8th place finish at the WTC.
Seventh or eighth. Wow,
Wow.
we doubled our best. Wow. That's decidedly top tier. That is top of the pack.
You thought I
wow.
was gonna burn you. No, I
Wow.
have hopes for y'all to this year. Guys, any words of advice or positive encouragement for Dickie?
I'm gonna recommend that he spends as much time as possible just casually chatting with everyone at the event as instead of whatever duties he's been assigned.
I would advise he
And
does it with a camera and a microphone as well.
Drinking.
oh yeah, actually, it would be great to get some cam action, wouldn't it?
Mhm.
Wouldn't it though?
You could be our cam boy.
Yeah,
Mhm.
perfect. That's what he always wanted to be.
Yep.
Danny, what are your
Yeah.
words of advice and encouragement for Dickie as he embarks on coaching the top tier nation of Canada?
Well, I only really have one thing that's possible for me to say, and that's go Team USA. I think that'll serve him well. Just keep that in mind.
Oh, I got a bit for this
pay
too.
close attention to that. Yeah.
I got a sound effect for this as well. You ready?
Go ahead.
Yeah. Okay.
Wrong.
Oh, that was wrong.
Yeah.
Wrong.
No one. No go
What
Team
was the
USA.
right answer?
Anyone but Team USA. I love him. Bunch of great guys. If I respond to your post with a joke, please don't respond overly seriously. It just makes me feel like kind of a dick. And for
What did you
that,
do?
there was a picture they put up. Remember they put those beautiful PowerPoint slides up, like introducing the team. And
Beautiful
Tim
PowerPoint
Penny-
slides. Is that how you describe them? I forget how you originally described those PowerPoint
public. They're beautiful PowerPoint slides. But Tim Penny, Tim Penny, they're Chaos 9, great guy, great player. He's been on the show a couple times. His photo made him look like he came out of an old Navy catalog. And I asked, I was like, why does Tim look like he's modeling for Old Navy? And they're like, hi, John. All of our players and staff got the chance to choose the picture they wanted to put in the thing. And this is the one that Tim chose. And I'm like, dry, Sandy dry. But I appreciate our listeners and viewers who came into the comments and was like, yeah, nice response to that serious question. But
John, and maybe this is the problem here, is that you weren't taking this as seriously as Team USA is. This is serious business for them. And you mocking them like that really it shows a lack of support and moral fortude.
To be fair, I wasn't mocking them.
disappointed.
I was mocking Tim for his beautiful picture, which looks like he was modeling the spring line at American Apparel. But anyway, I'm Team anyone but England.
Yeah, fair.
Classics like sporting.
I could be on that team too, John.
Yeah. Val, you were asking a question before you got distracted.
Yeah, nope, that's gone. Long gone.
Beautiful,
Mhm.
Mr. Buddy. That's about all.
When that iron's hot, buddy.
That's about all for our intro segment. It's time to change segments with a new bumper of an old segment. It's time for state
to move
of play.
down the highway into maybe a different state.
Yeah. Of
State of play.
You're killing it.
It wasn't even the short version, and it was still too short.
That was great. See, I was coaching our fair host pre-show on giving the producer a chance by using some segues. I wasn't expecting Danny to also jump in there and do such a great job of transitioning. That was absolutely beautiful.
I think if you talk to Dickie enough over the last couple of weeks, generally Danny and I like vultures over a carcass. When it comes to jokes, where we're just gonna pick out there. Josh Ann says he's getting double audios. I'll let you know that is free for you. You get 2 audios for the price of 1. Hopefully, just in the awesome bumpers, and that's all we know about there.
Maybe you just have shitty hearing, Josh. Maybe that's what it is.
Is there double audio for anything but the bumper I just played? That's my question. There shouldn't be, but
while
there?
we ask Chad that, welcome to the part of the show we call State of Play, where we recap the high points and lows of what we've been up to in the last week or however long. And as always, we want to warn our viewer that there's going to be, where are we this way? Actual discussion of the game of Warhammer ahead. So with that in mind, Val, You've
Mhm.
been away for a while. We got confirmation it's just double audio on the bumpers.
Mhm.
But while you think about the easy step you have to make to fix that,
Already
what have you been
fixed.
up to?
What have I been up to? I have been actually. Most recently, it dawned on me that I was sort of like hobby paralyzed because, well, I mean, 40K is a great, wonderful game that this entire show is based on, and that I'm totally invested in. But also, my heart lives in the old world, and I've been just like frozen in my tracks about what to do because I got lots of like sort of some of the armies are mostly painted that I have, some of them are not painted
Mhm.
at all. And one of my favorite armies, just like mechanically in Fantasy 8th edition, which is the last edition of Warhammer Fantasy, are the vampire counts. And I realized that um, they may suck for a while and or be completely different. The 8th edition mechanics I thought for vampire counts was so good. The book was so good. So I really want to, before the old world comes out, get some vampire counts on the table. And to that end, I've been slap chopping away, guys.
Nice.
Love that. Danny, what have you been up to?
Well, I built a bunch of Tyranids this week, so I just built the second. Oh, look at that! Hold on, I want
Square
to.
bases.
Let's take a
If our
moment here.
producer could remove a hand and go to that shot right there.
Oh
Instead
yeah.
of it just
I
being
guess
in
I
a
could
small
go. I
screen.
could go to this button. Oh, there you
Yeah,
go.
glorify yourself there.
Yeah, look at that. Yeah, look at those guys. Got some
Nice.
Did
And
you
and-
base them with the new suggested base sizes?
I have not. No.
No.
Are these just interim bases then?
Well,
Or
my thinking is, and I think this is a valid point. You can always you can make your bases bigger by like spacing them differently using on movement trays, but you can never go home
Oh.
again. So like you can't go the other way. So in 8th edition, it matters that they're on 20mm bases if
Yeah.
you're playing other 8th edition armies.
Mhm.
So I figured this would be based as an 8th edition army because who knows how vampire counts do because they're a non-core faction and GW is
That's
super
true.
weird.
Danny,
And yeah,
Val's going both ways. Are you going both ways?
John, no, I'm gonna stick to the straight and narrow.
Mhm.
To be honest, when I rebase an army, it's going to be for good. I'm just going to put it on the 30s or whatever they're supposed to be on.
25s
I
and
think
30s,
yeah, not only looks better, but I don't think that it will be a problem with playing anybody else in any other edition. Really, I think people will be like, "Oh yeah, who cares?" Like,
probably.
if we're
Imagine-
playing 8th edition fantasy, like nobody's going to be upset that I'm getting, like 50 millimeters of extra frontage or something like that.
I will
Well,
say,
also it would be a distinct disadvantage for like zombies and skeletons and that kind
Oh,
of
sure.
shit.
Absolutely.
So yeah, and for the record, Tomb Kings, who are absolute hot garbage in 8th edition fantasy, I picked up a nice little starter lot of those guys. That's on the way here from England, and
Nice.
those guys I will base properly for the old world. That'll be my old
Okay.
world army.
cool. That's it. Danny, what have you
Nice.
been up to? Before I blow out more ears with dun dun.
Oh
dun.
yeah. So I built some Tyranids this week, and we have kind of a newbie tournament that we run here every other month called Ursa Minor, and I played in the first game of that, and then I had to bounce out. But I just wanted to see if I could play one game and support the local event. So I went ahead and I played some Tyranids at that, and I just built like basically 2 Leviathan boxes together and like made that a 1,500 point army and played that. It was pretty fun. Had a good time.
Nice. I made a low guard. I worked on some Lich Guard so I can keep trying hard at 40K. And I'm so desperately trying to find an orc in the divider model that isn't like $300.
That's unreal.
Yeah, it's ridiculously expensive for that little dude right now just because he's the linchpin you build your shit around. But oh well, we're gonna do. What a great segment that was. We will finish this up here with a peek at our leaderboard as we round out the state of play segment. Danny still on top with a single event win, 3 wins and no losses. Dickie a respectable second, 5 wins, 4 losses, no wins. Val, a beautiful third, 2 wins, 1 loss, no wins. And me with the perfect basket of a win, a loss, and a questionable 69 all draw.
Now I have
Perfectly
something is just
average.
really leaping out at me here,
Yeah.
which is we seem to be sorting our columns with the win column. No, we're not. What are we sorting it by?
That's
Hold
good,
on.
guys.
First by event wins, then
Event
by
wins
win.
first.
Yeah.
Got it.
Much like
got
when
it.
you play Mario Party and stars decide who's
So basically,
first and coins are secondary.
Danny won.
It's a
'Cause
battle for second.
none of
Yeah.
us are going to win an event. So Danny won. Is this a bit?
Wow.
Is this a
That's
bit that
harsh.
I've missed? Because
That's
it's
harsh.
over. It's like we did maybe win percentage. Because that would edge me back.
Yeah, we're
ahead
gonna
of
do that.
Dickie.
We're doing a little bit of edging, and then
we can
also
edge.
we can edge, and then we're also thinking of adding some more joke columns, like number of 69-point games.
Let's
things
get some
like that.
T-Whip on here. I got to take my advanced stat back from the grubby hands.
There you
out there. Yeah.
We could make this a whole thing, Val.
Yeah,
This could be as complicated as you want it to be, buddy.
We can add a column as like total of number of inches advanced over a course of a game.
Now, it also doesn't actually say what game system is being played, so that's good.
That's true.
Oh, sure.
My
That's
draw
very good.
came from the game of life.
That's good. Also, Danny played in an event, so you should have probably had some numbers added to this.
Nope, Ursa doesn't count because it's for babies. And if we were counting that, I would simply take the best army I could and club as many people as possible and be like, yeah, I went 3-0 at this event. It was for new players.
You're one of those
I did
people
win
who
that game.
doesn't get how games work. I think Ursa should definitely count, just because you think it's for babies.
You know, John, I think it's fine for Ursa to count.
But then I have to update the damn slideshow. And that's not fair on me. All right, so if we're counting Ursa, then we're gonna just add a win there. I'm just gonna update in a second, and then we're gonna add 2 losses because he dropped.
Okay.
Boom. Even though you dropped for
Look at
a
that.
really good reason.
Real time updates.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah. While you were away, Val, I found I had the power to edit the PowerPoint from my side.
Yeah,
and
Dickie
that
was
has been-
blaming it on the fact that the PowerPoint just was not at all lining it up with the show anymore, and he was like, "Yeah, it's because John always changes it." I'm like, "That's not why."
It could be. Guys, what a great segment. Still the shortest what we've been up to segment in wargaming podcasting.
Hey,
But let's just go straight around the net. It's still so short. Why is it still so short?
that
Anyway.
was just the bumper, man. Anyway, also interstitial, I believe, is the fancy word.
Oh, fantastic.
It's almost like I made every single bumper and I'm aware of the timing for comedic purposes sometimes. But that can never happen. Hey, anyway, welcome
That
to
can't be true.
No, that would involve me doing something. Welcome to Around the Net, the part of the show where we dive deep into the dank drivel the internet provides. And this week we've got a lot to cover. It's kind of a catch-up week for us. Not a whole bunch of stuff went on, but I have a whole bunch of backlog trash I gathered over the times, including what I wanted to talk about a few weeks ago about toxic players. And I wanted to kind of bring this to the guys about toxic players. There was a whole kind of thing about people cheating, or people who have cheated coming back into the game, or kind of a surprise second place for people. So kind of along those lines, Val, Danny, how often would you say you encounter kind of toxic players in your Warhammer tournaments or kind of games? And then Val, just for you, any system.
Like when it's not like obviously me being the toxic player, because
I mean, if you want to tell yourself a little, sure. But like, how often is it something because there was a lot of chatter about it a couple weeks ago about how toxic players, why do they still play, who comes here? But I'm like, how often do we really run into like these kinds of people?
Well, Danny,
What do you mean, like every day in the mirror?
there's a saying, which is if you enter a room and you don't know who the asshole is, it's probably you. And you know what? I'm just so hot and cold at events. I haven't really run into truly toxic players. I've run into some like pretty clueless social players who played really tight, and it wasn't a very fun experience. I'm sure I'm also at times not a very fun experience because I'm an emotional fucking roller coaster. Oh man, 25 minutes, first F-bomb. We did it. So like I think
Yeah, guys,
I haven't.
we're trying to f-bomb less. It's very hard sometimes. But yeah.
Apparently, it's just
so
the first
hard.
20 minutes. First 20 minutes, you don't drop any hard Fs, and you're okay. But yeah, I don't know, Danny. I honestly, I'm also somewhat oblivious. I'm also a fairly confident person, so like, I don't feel like. I mean, I have been cheated, but I caught it, and then I called the guy out immediately, and he got a round loss, and then fled the scene. And that was years
wow.
ago. That was years ago at the Michigan GT.
And I will say, between the three of us here, we're all fairly overly confident people who generally, I don't think, encounter the kind of toxicity because we're not afraid to really call people out on their stuff.
Yeah, I would. Yeah.
Yeah, I'd say like maybe every third event I play somebody who I have a bad game against.
So what is it that's ruins your enjoyment of the game? Can you think of some like specific examples of things that like toxicity that's just kind of tanked around for you?
When things like for instance, when you allow somebody like a take back and they are not reciprocal in that, or like just basically that kind of sets the tone of the game, even though I don't necessarily believe that you have to allow people to get takebacks. If that's kind of the way that the game is started, then I think that sets kind of a different tone and a different expectation. But I don't know. There's so many, like it's I feel like it's pretty rare. I mean, that's like 1 out of like 20 games of Warhammer. Really, like you have a bad game. That's like 5% of games. That's not too bad.
So I sort of know this from kind of knowing you for a while and seeing you doing it, Danny, and Val, I'd be interested in your opinion on this as well. Danny, how do you handle it when someone is being a poor sport or gloating or rude or just overly competitive during a game?
I probably for me, I'd probably be tone checking them. Like that's usually that's usually how I think I would react to that. Like, and by that I just mean like, don't let them do that. I feel like this was a big like Jeff Robinson comment that he used to always make on Chapter Tactics when I got to be on the show with him. But just basically like, don't let people fucking walk all over you, I think is like the number one thing, especially from that perspective. But like mostly the worst experiences for me are when there's not like some trust. There's no collegial there's no collegial atmosphere, like people like really grinding over like measurements and like not believing you on every point about your rules, and like just like asking a ton of questions constantly. Sometimes things that maybe they should even know, like that kind of stuff is kind of hard to overcome. And a lot of times I think that comes from a place of like, they're just trying to like do their best and they don't want to miss stuff. But usually that will rattle me because I do have, a rattleable brain. So that's the kind of stuff that can get me off my game.
I find, John, that I get real defensive and then I start just doing it back.
You do. It's the most uncomfortable situations sometimes or during GTs. There's a very good friend of ours who's a good friend, great guy that we get on great. But like every time you play him, almost exclusively, it ends up with a heated end and a heated discussion with a judge overseeing.
That does happen sometimes.
Yeah. That sort of thing. I know Memo Man here in chat saying, I find that toxicity exists in the mid tables where people think they are or should be better than what they actually are. Guys, you Val, you're a GT winner. Danny, you've won GTs and things like that. I exist exclusively in the mid tables, and I have to kind of agree 100% with that, where that's where it is. Why do you think? Because we hear toxicity and we hear the complaints about top players and winners. Why do you think we don't hear more about kind of the mid tables and kind of the player attitudes in those areas?
I think you're going to see that kind of attitude from a lot of people who are trying to make that bump up to the next level. So they get a little excited and they think that if they can like edge out their opponents with some like, oh no, you've screwed up a rule, that kind of stuff, like that can get them the small win that they need to win against a very good player.
There's and I think also that it's the cognitive dissonance too of like expectation versus reality. So like I think in those mid tables, and this is actually where there's a little social engineering. I think we give a lot of shit to Mike Brandt, but I think there is something that he's advocated and brought into stuff that I think actually works super well, which is win path pairing.
Yeah, I totally agree. Those are great.
And I think, and I don't know if it's a complete magic bullet, but I think some of the worst problems with mid tables is actually the fact that it's not mid table players. It's actually people who maybe thought they had a shot, or in fact had a shot at a GT, getting that first L and dropping down to somebody who maybe got onto a bit of a win streak. And so you have a person whose event hasn't gone great versus someone whose event is going great because they're bouncing back, they're feeling good because they're on a bit of a roll. And so win path pairing wouldn't put those people together, and you're going to get maybe two people who are, if they're 4-1 and they just lost in the previous round, they get paired, so they have more common ground. And I think that's a really clever way to maybe improve the general grumbliness of and grindiness of the mid table.
Sure.
Yeah. What do you think about that, Mike?
Anecdotal.
Okay. So do you guys think some people in the community are too quick to label others as toxic? Because we see a lot of it being called out, a lot of players being called out for things. Are we too quick to judge and jump on people for this behavior?
No.
Depends.
I don't know. I think people need to be called out on it more. I think people get away with a lot that's pretty bullshit, and they shouldn't get away with that stuff. But that being said, I think, regardless of what people do, I'm interested in a path to redemption at least one time for people, for sure. So I don't want to put somebody out forever.
I think there's also
unless they continue to do it.
This is an old I don't know, talking point that I've whipped on a bunch. There's also there's toxic and there's didn't have a good time because blank, right? Because you didn't like something about the person, or maybe you didn't get along too super well, or maybe you didn't speak up when something happened on the table that gave that other player an edge, which may or may not have been intentional, right? There are, of course, we're talking about this in the context of a guy who tried to flush loaded dice down the toilet and another guy who has been known for misplaying his rules and cheating his way through GTs for years. And in those types of, and in those particular cases, those people should not be allowed in the realm of competitive 40K, period, full stop. But I think those aren't the people necessarily that are causing all of this angst over toxicity. I think it's really just probably more likely a lack of social skills and the ability to speak up and defend yourself when you think something's going sideways.
So I guess to kind of round this out here, what are the signs that someone is truly being toxic versus just having a strong personality or an average level of social skills for a Warhammer player?
Well, out and out cheating is probably a good sign. The old angle shooting thing is which is constantly bidding to see what your opponent's knowledge is, asking questions that the answer to see if the person gets it wrong, that kind of shit. Those are really scummy things that you do to try and get an edge, and obviously those are toxic, awful things. Being a bully, being an actual bully, calling people names, all kinds of stuff. But I think that's not usually what we're talking about when we're talking about toxic players. Am I wrong, Danny?
No, I mean, to me, I think truly, people who are having a bad time are different, obviously a different category, right? You're allowed to have a bad game or even several bad games or even a bad event, and that not to label you as just the worst person in the world. However, when you consistently come back and you keep doing stuff wrong, keep misplaying basic rules, when you start to get a reputation for that, then there needs to start being conversations.
Start playing fantasy. Yeah.
Is that your path, Val? People talking shit so much, you're no, I don't think I can keep playing 40K. This is too much of an emotional.
We're not allowed to anymore.
No, I just have a lot of fucking sympathy and empathy for people who've come against me in a GT over the years. Had I been better, sustained better, I'm sure I would have gotten a rep, just because I do fuck things up all the time, and I know it's not on purpose personally. and I get them, and like I do go too hot and too cold with the dice all the time. You know,
Sure.
like it's hard for me to get like, and I play orcs, which is stupid. Why God would I play the swingiest dice army that exists? You know, like I can think back to a GT I played in I think it was North Carolina, South Carolina, one of the Carolinas, and I was just a monster all the way through it. Like just like throwing my hat, like I think kind of cartoonishly, but also like if you didn't know who I was, and they didn't because I don't live in the Carolinas, you know, you'd think this guy's a fucking weirdo, and that would be accurate. So there you go.
Yeah. 36 minutes, second F-bomb. Good job.
Hey, and they're both me. Great.
I don't even know what to say about that. That's just disappointing.
That's true. That's true. Moving on. I guess to sum it up, just don't be a dick. That's all we
you
can
be
do.
a little bit of a dick.
Yeah, you can. That's fair. But moving on, this is a little bit of old news as well here. We got this message here on wargamer.com saying that they're developing a Warhammer MMO, and the lead developer says PvP is not a focus. Denny, we had some conversations about that. But Val, what are your thoughts about an MMO with no player versus player combat?
This is something so far out of my depth that actually I can only answer this with a question, because I've never really understood why in MMOs you wouldn't have player versus player. I guess is it just because of disparity in like relative character strengths? Like if I've got like a level billion,
It can be.
yeah, I guess, and also I guess if you've invested 1 million hours of your life into something, and then some dickwad comes and beats you over the head with an eBay item, you might be a little hard to swallow.
Danny,
Yep,
is it
that
hard to
kinda
swallow?
So like I don't know. I think that's kind of a bad.
By the way,
Sorry,
I'm really sad right now that I got rid of my badumts and for the record scratch, because there's been at least 4 times I've been able to use it so far.
Yeah.
I'm proud of you for making these jokes, though. It's good that you are able to come up with something off the cuff and not something that you've just had written down.
To be fair, when I wrote it down, it did come off the cuff. It says to marinate in the script for a day.
Yep. Yeah, anyway. PvP for MMOs, probably a good idea, but it should be probably an opt-in thing and not just an all-the-time thing. I really liked Age of Reckoning for that. If you ever played the old Warhammer Fantasy MMO, which was actually a pretty good time. I did like playing that a lot. It got a little stale towards the end, but it was pretty fun for what it was.
I think that's kept alive too. I think there are like private servers that have kept it going somehow.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. If you look at the next slide here, the lead developer, Jack Emmerich, says PvP is not and will never be a focus of mine, probably for the rest of my career. The Jackalope Games announced in May was working on a new MMO set in an as yet undisclosed Warhammer IP. I think I can guess where Val's going to go with this, but Danny, what would be an ideal setting for a Warhammer MMO?
Oh, Aeronautica Imperialis would easily be the best one. I think that kind of would really give the most. You could really build a compelling character and really have an immersion in a world of flying planes.
What do you think about that?
Kill yourself.
Oh man, that's awful, awful strict there. Yeah. But yeah, Val, what about you? Again, you're not into the world of MMOs hugely, but if you were to be in one, or if you were to play one, where would you like to play one?
I don't know, just something vaguely gothic. I think like Necromunda would probably be like a good setting, or Mordheim. I mean, both those have games I think that have spun off of them, but those feel like just something that has like a really defined world. Because like you also get like games. There's a really cool. Well, I only read about it. I never actually played it, but like it's like a space game where like you walk around the space like port, and then you get in your ship, which you bought, and then you fly and you like go mine stuff. Like you're like actually like around, like flying around the galaxy and doing
No Man's
things.
Sky.
Yes, maybe. But like
Do you
those
know
things.
the fun thing about the multiplayer on that? The game was so big, and so immense that you were in the same universe as thousands of other people, but you never actually
saw
met
them.
anyone.
And that's why, like, I think the temptation maybe to be like really wide lens with it and like give you the opportunity to be like a rogue trader.
Mm-hmm.
I think that wouldn't
That'd be
be
cool.
as good. Like tightening the constraints of it, because it is such a massive universe and world.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I was
that
gonna
would be
say the
my
old
only
world.
guidance. Yeah, even the old world, man,
No,
it's literally
nobody
our
wants that.
planet. It's our planet. So like there's like lots of places you can go to like build out.
Imagine marching along to, Carrick, 8 Peaks.
It already existed. Warhammer, was it Fantasy Online? I think that's what it was called.
Age of Reckoning.
It was Age of Reckoning? Yeah.
And he's already
Yeah.
name dropped it. Maybe it's Age of Reckoning 2. The Reckoning. Moving on.
Trouble Down Under.
Please stop using Crocodile Dundee references. Next one here. I saw this
Rescuers reference, John.
I saw this one on Warhammer Community's Twitter, and I figured, why not rip it off? We take everything else from them anyway. Danny, Val, tell us about your most glorious victories.
No, I'm not going to do it.
Why
would I want to rub that in someone's face like that? I mean, come on. Like I'm coming from a kinder, gentler place, John. I don't want to put anybody on blast like that.
Well, I've done it a million times, but when I beat Adam Abramowitz,
False.
like a
Wrong.
shell of a
Right.
human being, in the final round of Warzone Atlanta many years ago, in which I first turned charged with a gargantuan squiggith, Roboute Gilliman, ate him, and then at the end of the game, Adam, who could barely stand because he was so pasty, so hungover, I pressured him with maple syrup, i.e. bribing him with a bottle of maple syrup to vote me best sports. The two things, the victory and then shaming him into making me his best sports votes, are what carried me to my default victory at Warzone Atlanta.
I do find it interesting that you won best sport by coercion and bribery, which
Absolutely. Like I am a poster
How
boy
else do you
for
win
why
that?
you don't have a best sports, because I like felt terrible in retrospect. Well, yeah, I've gotten over it.
No,
I
you
did feel
didn't.
bad. I know I felt bad for a little while because there were like at Warzone Atlanta, there are some wonderful people who actually deserve things like a best sports, and like they actually go there with the intention of being a good sport. Whereas I just brought a bunch of maple syrup and pressured people into voting for me. And hey, maybe I was just more American than the Americans.
you out American America.
Which
That's what you gotta do.
Impressive.
Sam Lemon in chat saying, "Pay to win, baby."
Hell
That's
yeah!
That's
right.
what this game is. Moving on. Next up, Steve Conlon. The name might not be familiar, but the face and voice are. He is James Workshop himself in acting form. This came from forever ago and was a really great quote for him. If you don't follow him on X, do it now before the service disappears completely. He says, "Please stop asking me to weigh in on pronunciations. The canon answer will always be, I don't care." Guys, what's a word in Warhammer that you've mispronounced for years?
None. No, all my Warhammer dictation is perfect, John. I've never mispronounced any Warhammer names. Not even one time. I don't know. Who knows? How do you know if you're mispronouncing it or not? Because
how do you feel about Praetorius lieutenants?
How do I feel about
Because
Primaris lieutenants?
You want it to be
Lieutenants.
lieutenants because it's lieutenants because it's a British thing.
Yeah.
In Canada, we have lieutenants as well. I always say lieutenants. But yeah.
Okay.
Danny doesn't seem to care.
I mean,
No.
John, if you look, if it's fine if you're critical of me, but I'm just going to be more critical of all the words that you mispronounce in.
It's almost like I put the slide in because you've done that for the past 2.5 months at every single little slop up.
Who does?
Yes, that was a joke.
There was a White Dwarf article where they I don't know, within the last couple of years, because I actually saw it, where they did go through and attempt to say canonically this is what the pronunciation is of whatever the silly word is. But also I feel like they're just pulling it out of their butt. It's whatever the first person who said it out loud said. I think we probably wound up with Roboute Gilliman, which is dumb, and I refuse to say that. usually.
Terrible.
And
That's fair.
guys in chat, I'm very capable of saying taco. Here's the thing: I'm from a different country, Danny, so sometimes words are different. Deal with it.
What would you normally say?
Taco.
That does sound a little disjointed, I will admit.
That's fair. That's fair. What are the most annoying pronunciation mistakes other people make? Danny, feel free to hit with your role of greatest hits here.
Custodes drives me
100p.
crazy.
Yep,
Yeah,
it's lazy.
like, not even a question. That's the worst one by a million years.
Yep. And I like, we're both on that page. That is super annoying, 100%. Because
true.
that one isn't like Roboute Gilliman. Like it is obviously Custodes. Although I do like the inverse, which is if everyone's going to call it Custodes, we should call them the Adeptus Astartes. And I think that would be fun.
All right, we can all agree that they are Astartes.
Astartes is all like, I mean, Custodes downgrade, but if you switched it over to Astartes, I think Astartes is definite upgrade.
I don't know why we didn't call this episode Astartes upgrades, but now we know.
Well, luckily we can edit that field. Let us go on.
Why did I fight you in editing so much when it's so handy? Moving on. I've been sitting on this one for a couple of months here.
Good Lord.
Danny, what are these models?
I know.
Are those flayed ones?
Yep.
Yep, those are old metal flayed ones.
With no arms.
No claws.
Couple.
And you can buy
what's
these
going on
at the Frontline Gaming secondhand shop.
Yeah, but they'd only send you like half of one. It'd be
Now,
missing the core.
You get the arms that aren't pictured in the photo.
Claws sold separately.
What are what is your biggest rescue project that you guys have done in a model? Like, so a model that you guys have got that was just as well loved and played with as those flayed ones there. And what did you do to rescue them?
I had a set of plastic Terminators that I must have painted like 5 times. And I stripped them twice and repainted them. And after that, I decided I was never going to do that again. And so I never stripped another model ever in my life. I've just either painted over it or gotten a new model, usually the second one.
That's fair. It's fair. Val?
I'm trying to remember what it was specifically. It was a Warhammer Fantasy army that I bought that was just broken. Like it was all like all these like spindly bits had broken off of them. And I just there was just like a training montage moment. And I just went on a pinning clinic. And I must have pinned I don't know, 50 different things together. And the army looks great. And I just can't it sounds like I make it up because I can't specifically remember what the F it was. Man, I'm looking over at my cabinets and what the hell was that?
What was your guys?
My Empire army.
Sorry.
Anyways, yes, continue.
What was your
army you're working on right now?
No, Empire. It was an Empire army that was
Empire.
painted. Yeah,
I thought you said
it's my country
army.
bumpkins. It's my Sterling Empire army.
Yeah.
What's the worst paint job you guys have ever done?
All right. So the worst finished paint job I've ever done, or the worst overall paint job I've done? Because I've done some really shitty 3-color things before.
I'm going to ask you. Oh yeah, finished. Because I was going to say what's it, but finished and overall. But finished is What's your worst finished? Because I've seen some of your tournament ready armies.
The worst finished army that I've had is it was like the first big 7th edition fantasy army that I built and played was Orcs and Goblins. And the back ranks of your units didn't have to necessarily be painted the best. Like you could just paint the helmets and like the tops of the weapons, and so basically they're all like super base colors with like a bunch of highlights on like their helmets and the weapons of my black orcs. And so like as you could actually tell which model went in which rank by how it was painted.
That's actually cleverer than like writing the number underneath it. Like it was just such a pain in the dick to try and put guys. I kind of like that approach actually. It's because like honestly, like the guys in like the center of the unit, that's like the equivalent of like being a psychopath who like paints the inside of his Land Raider before gluing his
Right.
shut forever.
Exactly.
You know, so I'm completely sympathetic to your approach here.
Val, what about you?
You know, I mean,
I
can
only
think-
do gold. No.
No, I think because I've always done like a version of slap chop. Like I've
Mhm.
always kind of even when I do like the 3-color minimum, I'm always like, no, it looks pretty good. And maybe I also have tremendously low standards. But I guess the worst
True.
is usually like the battle ready standard, which doesn't really have any highlights. Like it's maybe you put some of that like pre-made texture stuff on the base. You know, you got color on everything. And that's probably the worst that I'd like. Who's the like Mad Doc Rotsnick? My Mad Doc Rotsnick is still just like flat, like bulk gun metal, goblin green flesh, and you know some like textured paint on the base. Like he's not great. Like that would be the worst I've done. But I color in the lines.
You know, Val, what do you have against Mad Doc Rotsnick?
Nothing. He
Doesn't wanna watch
he was a G back in the day.
Oh yeah, for real.
I wonder if
Yeah.
he's good now. Probably
see.
not.
Probably not.
Before we jump to the future, we kind of cut our around the net segment down here a little bit. We give some time for production staff to make sure we added the right bumper in that wasn't added in at the start of the show.
Oh, certainly haven't. But
Perfect.
I'll try.
So why don't we hit that down arrow, and then Danny and I, we can talk about this here for a second.
Okay.
We got this guy here. He says, "Get ready for intense battles with this Warhammer 40K Starweaver Voidweaver, which is hand painted to perfection. Its
Nice.
magnetic feature makes it easy to move and adjust on the battlefield. This
Okay.
miniature is perfect for avid collectors and gamers who want to enhance their Warhammer 40K experience. The
Nice.
Starweaver Voidweaver belongs to the miniature wargames category and is part of the Warhammer 40K line. It comes with dice attached and is ideal for fans of the game who want to add another dimension to their collection.
Wait, what do they mean by dice attached?
Don't worry about it. Don't miss out on a chance to own this beautifully crafted piece. What a wonderful collection of words. And Val, I know you're busy working away there. If you want to just hit PP down. Perfect. Danny, describe what you're seeing.
It's all right. So first of all, I'd like to talk about the background. The background that they've chosen is a bunch of playing cards, because apparently that's the theme of this particular this model. So it's
Because they're
it just
Harlequins.
has a bunch of dice glued to it, and it looks like maybe there's a gun just kind of randomly sticking out of one side of it.
It does say that the dice are attached.
Are those magnetized?
Don't know.
I wonder what's magnetized about this. Maybe the base is magnetized. Anyway,
Maybe.
it looks like very thick white paint, and then like some red paint accents, and some a little bit of black.
I just want to
And
let me
that
see here
is-
because this was so popular last time I did it. I just want to zoom in here.
Okay, enhance.
Enhance.
Oh yeah, look at that face of the guy in there. He's loving life.
There, I gotta. There you go. They have the white nose. Got a little bit of red on the mask. This is great. Oh yeah, yeah. Whoa! It's game time, guys.
Nothing happened. Everyone ignore that. You didn't see anything.
Beautiful. Well, I think now is. I don't know why. I have a sudden idea that we should maybe play
Nope,
a brand new game.
Not yet.
In a couple of minutes after we
Just
look
like
more
2
into
seconds.
this here.
Okay.
Perfect. Yes. I do like the dice. I think it's probably magnetized to be a Void Weaver or a Star Weaver, but I don't remember how that works with that model. But it certainly is a model. And yeah, now we can just do our classic. He's going to fly across the screen. You ready?
What's happening?
Nothing. Again,
Yeah.
it can't update in time.
You're messing it up, aren't you?
Yeah. Yeah, I'm messing it up. Thank you for letting everyone know.
Okay, why don't you intro whatever you were gonna do? I'm ready.
Well, for some reason, I think we're ready to play a brand new game that I came up with. It's time for Val and Danny to beat the clock. Wow, what an appropriately timed intro length. This is a brand new game.
Okay.
It's called Beat the Clock. Guys, you might notice the 8th edition Warhammer Fantasy box, as well as my favorite
4th
stuff
edition.
from this
Yeah,
show.
it's not even close.
It's 4th, whatever. You know,
Jesus Christ.
I just read the books. I don't pay attention to them here, but it's my favorite slide Val's done. The idea of this game is very simple. At the top of the episode, Val asked you if you wanted to be big questions or little questions. You chose, if you remember, big questions, which means I'm going to ask you a bunch of questions about this version of the High Elf Army, Warhammer Armies book.
Okay.
And then there is going to be some point-related questions, and if you are within 10% points-wise, you're right. Stay right there. Do not get that book. Do not get that book. Get back to this chair.
Oh, come on. This is what we mean by toxic players, folks.
This is toxic players.
I don't have 5th edition.
True
I don't have
toxic player right here.
But this exact copy of Warhammer Armies High Elves had a bunch of questions in here. Val, all you have to do is in 30 seconds answer as many questions as you can correctly. At the end of the game, whoever has the most questions right wins. I don't know, some kind of prize. I don't know.
Okay.
I'm gonna ask a question. Val, are you ready?
Sure.
Start the timer. Imrek. Start the timer.
There we go.
Imrek, Lord of Dragons, carries how many magical items?
4.
Teclis, High Elf Mage, knows how many spells?
All of them.
A repeater bolt thrower is how many points?
95.
How many different units were there in the regiment section of this book?
4.
If I was to use a maximum available 50% of my army on characters and took an Elven Lord General and Steed, a Battle Standard and a Unicorn, a Mage Lord and a Mage Champion, what is the size of my army?
1,500 points.
Val, how do you think you did?
Terribly.
Terribly. Well, using our 10% rule, you did get 2 out of 5.
What?
The questions,
Wow.
of course, Danny, did you want to take a stab at some of these here? I saw you
Opportunity to
shaking your head
steal. Opportunity to
aggressively.
steal.
Imric has 2 magic items, the Dragon Horn and the Star Lance.
Okay. He does not. He has 3 magical items.
5th edition,
what's
bro.
the third one?
5th edition, bro.
I gotta look in the book now. Gosh, and that's why I showed you the picture of the cover. Imrek has. This is when Danny corrects me, and he's actually right.
That'd be sick, dude. If I get this right, I'm lording over you forever.
He has the Star Lance, the Dragon Horn, and the Armor of Calidor.
Oh, okay, cool. That's fair.
Teclis High Elf Mage knows how many spells?
He knows the battle magic spells and the high magic spells, which is like 20.
He knows 5, but he can choose any.
It's 5th edition, man. No battle magic.
I thought he knew all the battle magic deck and all of the high magic
So
deck.
guys, this is what's like playing Danny. You have to look up stuff all the time. As a mage lord, Teclis is entitled to 4 spells. His magic level is increased to 5 by the War Crown of Sephiri, so he can choose 5 spells, and his Master of High Magic rule means that he can pick his spells he wants from the high magic deck, unlike other high elf mages who have to draw their spells at random.
Right. Okay.
A repeater bolt thrower is 100 points. You said 95, which is within 5 or within 10%. And then I asked if I was to use the maximum available 50% of my army and characters and took an Elven Lord General and Steed, a Battle Standard and a Unicorn, a Mage Lord and a Mage Champion, what size of army would I need, Danny?
And that's 50% of your points?
Yep.
Did you buy magic items for them?
Nope. Unless you call a Unicorn magic.
No.
Going deep on this, guys.
He's only
Going
50
deep.
points, so.
He's going deep. Well, you were within 10%, I just want to say, before this goes on.
Yeah. I think this is like 1,700 points.
1,600 points was the right answer.
Sorry.
That one there.
The answer was the moops. The moops.
The moops. Yeah. So Dan, Val, you got 2 out of 5 for that. As Val shows, he chose tall questions. You got short questions by return. So I'll be asking you questions from this edition of Dwarfs, which apparently has some green in the title. But we're going to ignore that here. Let's reset the timer.
I'm going to try. I know I practiced this, but I forgot what I did. So I'm going to fumble around a bit. All right, it's going. It's going.
Okay. Long beards are what initiative?
3.
I have a unit of 30 iron breakers with no upgrades. How many points does it cost?
500.
Ungrim, Iron Fist, King Cazador, or Gotrek? Who is the most expensive character without any upgrades?
King Cazador, Grochek, and what was the other one?
Ungrim, Iron Fist.
Oh, Ungrim.
How many special rules does Rune Lord Crag the Grim have?
4.
I think you did.
I have no idea.
Danny, you had a score of 1 out of the
Dang.
4 questions you were asked. Long beards are initiative 3. A unit of 30 iron breakers with no upgrades is 600 points.
That was close. Hold on.
Yep.
So I got that one right too.
Well,
So
it's not 10%.
what's 10% of 500?
It's 550.
Oh, okay. Sorry, I thought it was 25%.
That's too big a swing.
All right.
And then Ungrim, Iron Fist, King Cazador, or Gotrex, the most expensive character without upgrades, is Gotrex at 225.
I don't think there's an X in GoTrek.
What? Okay,
I mean,
sure.
This is like Fast X. It's the modern thing. I want to say.
You mean like before you give magic item upgrades? Because like you have to give Grotrek magic items and all the other
Who is
guys?
the most
well, those aren't upgrades. Those aren't optional, John. Those are just their points.
Outside of the timer, then, I'm going to ask you one more question.
Okay. Tiebreaker.
Here. True or false? Dwarf characters cannot carry pistols.
True or false? Dwarf characters cannot carry pistols.
Yes.
False. Dwarf characters can carry pistols.
That's true. Dwarf character can carry pistol. The only one who can is the Thunderer champion.
So I was right.
No, you say character is plural.
That's a bit of a beach way to ask question. I don't know. I mean, I give it Danny.
Jesus Christ.
All right, fine. One more question here that I can't be pedantic about because I wrote so many down. Because it turns out 30 seconds is not a lot of time whatsoever.
Okay.
A dwarf siege gun came with how many crew models?
A siege gun?
Mm-hmm.
What is the siege gun?
And remember,
are you talking?
I know nothing about
the Oregon
this.
gun.
So
are you talking about?
He's reading lines in the book.
It's 3, John. It doesn't matter. It's 3.
I would say 3.
Is that 3? Let me just go here to make sure we're in the right section here. We can see where are we here? Our dwarf siege gun. Where are we? Somewhere.
The other side. Yeah. 5. Oh, look at that. No.
Well, this was a terrible bit. That's okay.
I had fun.
Val, you were the winner.
Good job, Val.
I mean, I'm not gonna gloat, but I did win. So I mean, I've got that going for me.
That's true.
Yeah.
Things I've learned. We're a 40K podcast. Maybe I do this with 40K questions. Other things I've learned. Maybe 60 seconds next time, but that involves me finding an entirely different timer. So whether we do that or not, who even knows?
Or I think the thing that you really should learn the most is that if you're looking to give me a choose your own adventure and you need me to pick one of the 2 options to make it work, just don't give me an option.
No, I wanted to give you an option. I didn't need
How were
either
some
one.
of those large and some of those were small?
Because elves are large and dwarfs are small.
Was I supposed to have an audio thing queued up for this, or are you playing it?
Oh,
John?
no, I'm queuing up the next part. Don't worry about it.
Good.
Guys, we're going to continue on.
This is
with
amazing,
our
guys.
fan
Breakneck
fiction
pace.
bingo. Our bingo card, we've been creating our own fan fiction. We so far have Horus now being the War Master, Abaddon still hating Horus, Sanguinus falling, Blood Angels falling to the Red Thirst. We added in a team swap, Luther killing the Lion, an ocean-themed legion, and a legion spreading pacifism. And right now we have, I think, Danny, a very good alternative history heresy story. What's your thoughts on it so far?
Nothing about this is good at all. I just would like to make sure that we all are on the same page. So it's something, all right.
let me sweeten the pot a little bit on that one, as we added in
doubt
3
it.
more things. We're gonna have we added to the week the square the nice guy Conrad. We added Praetorian Perturabo, and then we added in that the coolest character is killed immediately. And Danny, just out of interest, who is the coolest character
In the heresy?
Mhm.
Oh, there are no cool characters. There's not even a single cool character in the entire heresy, John. Just
Okay.
kidding. It's Malcador the Sigillite. That's
Hey,
the
that's
character.
cool.
That's a good answer. Let's listen to what our AI came up with for this story. And bonus points, chat, if you can tell whose voice this is reading this week.
Roboute Gilliman is named War Master instead of Horus, who broods in jealousy. The cool Night Lord's Primarch Conrad Kurz shockingly stays loyal, but he is immediately killed on Istvan V in the Drop Site Massacre, a tragic loss for the Imperium. Sanguinius and the Blood Angels fall to the Red Thirst before pledging themselves to pacifism, swearing off violence. Meanwhile, Luther sways the Dark Angels to side with Horus and kills Lionel Johnson in betrayal. In an unexpected twist, Stalwart Perturabo is named Praetorian of Terra, while Dorn joins Horus out of spite. The Oceanic Leviathans also join the traitor forces. Horus struggles to coordinate the chaotic Primarchs. Gilliman crusades against the traitor legions, but is constantly outmatched by Horus's tactics. In a last stand on Holy Terra, Sanguinius is martyred defending the Emperor before Gilliman defeats Horus. In the aftermath, the Imperium lies in ruins. The remnant factions war constantly without strong leadership. The Blood Angels keep to themselves on Baal, consumed by their guilt. Chaos cults thrive across the Imperium as demonic incursions run rampant. Though they fractured the Imperium, the traitor legions ruled by fickle chaos lords begin to collapse in on themselves, starting the long, dark decline of this alternate heresy.
Man, that was beautiful.
Wow.
That was a stat center guy.
Yeah.
That was kind of surreal. Have you done that to yourself yet? Because
No.
that was wild.
Refused.
No, I only do that to other people.
But it's super. That is a super strange experience.
You know, so it's not the modern Val voice. It is, however, Stat Center produced Val voice.
Yeah, it was me reading a script voice, and you can tell, like, because I'm like I'm overpronouncing all kinds of words there. That was wild. Cool.
Crazy.
I have no idea what they said. This
You were
AI
just blown
me.
away by the sound of your own voice.
I was just listening to me. The sound of not my own voice. What?
Next
I was
week,
slightly seduced, to be honest, Val. Like, I heard it and I was lost. It was mesmerizing.
next week, we're not adding any more elements to the story. It's a convoluted mess. What we're gonna do,
Good
Memo
AI,
Man.
John say taco.
you know what? Fine. Next week, I will set it up so I read a Taco Bell order. And we'll see what the AI
Train
says
it only on you saying taco over and over again.
for the minute that it needs to do. That'd be interesting. But yeah, so next week we're going to expand it out to specific battles in the heresy and get some alternative future specific battles. So if you have a specific one you want to hear, let us know. We'll probably throw it in there because I'm pretty lazy with this whole thing now. Speaking of lazy, there's a new returning segment coming up, and we have one more bumper. It's time for listener questions. Yeah.
Oh, because the car bumped.
Yeah. Well, no, it's because I mean, play the bumper again.
That one's really good. I like that one a lot.
Yeah, it's listener
Nice.
questions knocking good content out of the way
But
because
it's also a bumper, John. You see?
oh, that's true. That's true.
Good.
It's
Interstitial.
usually over and over again. So these are some things that came up over the past couple of weeks here. Okay. Real question. How does Danny remember every rule from every edition? Hearing him quote 4th edition terrain rules when I have no idea what I ate for breakfast today is upsetting.
I was sweating a bit in that game show because it sure seemed like he thought he knew what the answers were, and I was like, "Oh, I'm fucked."
I knew how much the repeater bolt thrower was for sure.
Did you play
And
much?
I initially was going to say 600 points on those iron breakers, but then I'm like, no, probably not. They're not 20 points a model for a 1-wound model. No way.
How many
I
points
forgot.
was
Economy?
Valerial the Everqueen?
Like it's around 600 points
475.
total with magic items.
Probably not. But
See,
anyway.
that's what I'm saying, John. It's important to know how much those costs too.
So, with magic items, 525.
Pretty close.
In fact, no, not even that. She doesn't. No, never mind. This army book is terrible layout. Moving on. How do you remember all this stuff, Danny?
I don't know. Some kind of stupid autistic recall or something. I'm sure. Like, I don't know.
That was the
I
really
couldn't tell
shitty
you.
sequel to Total Recall.
Like, I don't remember what I ate for breakfast this morning either. So,
but you remember what a hill did 15 years ago?
I sure do.
This
It's really useful.
This next one here for both of you guys. Which firstborn units should be called next? Bits here says, why are they servitors? I say it should be tactical marines.
Yeah.
But what are your guys' thoughts?
All of them.
Yeah,
Get
just
rid
get
of
rid of them all. I'm cool with that. No.
Let the galaxy burn. Just let them go, man. Like, why? I mean, once the range is replaced, like they're pretty close. I'm curious to see what the units are that come with the codex.
Yeah.
Certain, like if they drop as much as they did with Tyranids, then they could round out the rest of the Primaris range and it'd be over.
I mean, they really just need jump pack marines. Like that's the only thing that's really missing. I would say.
And
then
they're
all
going
the
to probably
chapter
come with
specific
a
dudes.
Space Marine too.
Yeah.
This next one here, it says, with Val back for the next show, I saved it a little bit. I've got a Warhammer Fantasy Battle theme question. Should we see the Black Gem of Ngang make a comeback in the old world?
Shred some gnar, man. I actually read this.
I mean, if you're playing Chaos Dwarves, I would say so.
I'm trying to remember, when I read this when traps wear and one enemy until a 6 is rolled at the start of turn. That's just kind of
so
funny.
basically it's a way for you to take a character in a challenge, like out of the game. It was a ubiquitous magic item that was present in like every 5th edition Warhammer Fantasy army.
Well, the more you know. This is an interesting Warhammer Fantasy Battles 5th edition tilt to in case our 8th edition coverage was too scintillating. Let's get a
little more conservative.
Let's dial it right back. Actually, it's one of the like probably 6th, 8th, and then 5th. I would say are probably the most played official editions at this point.
Mm-hmm. Danny, a single shot from a repeater bolt thrower did how many wounds per hit?
D3.
D4.
A D4. Thanks, Old Games
Oh, really?
Workshop.
Interesting. Okay.
Yep.
And then finally, before we wrap this up for the day, I have a unit of 20 high elf archers in 5 ranks of 4. How many can shoot?
In which edition?
Yeah.
Whatever one this came from. 5th. Thanks, Val.
There are so many editions.
Are they on a hill? That's a serious question.
It's a real question. Question.
If I laugh because I only know from what I read in the single book I found at my parents' house in May, we're going to assume
you brought those back from the United Kingdom?
I did.
Incredible.
Bretonian one too.
I think, John, 2 ranks and then more ranks if they're on a hill.
Fair. We'll never know is the correct answer for that. Val.
Oh, okay.
Thank you for joining us as always. Thank you for everyone joining here at Grim After Dark. You can find all of our socials and way to support us at grimafterdark.com. You can also support us by memberships on YouTube or Patreon. We're going to be back next Monday live at 10 p.m. Easternish, and we will have a better version of the Beat the Clock game where the timer is twice as long as the questions are actually relevant to the game.
What's your call to action? What's your call to action, John?
Yeah,
I had to cut and paste your whatever, the intro.
And what do you want people to do?
I mean,
what do you want?
I was going to say,
ask him a question. Just ask him a question. Hey guys, what'd you think of the game show? Let us know in the comments.
It was trash. Yeah, let us know.
No, don't tell them what the answer is. Okay, we're trying to drive engagement, man.
Okay.
Yeah, John.
Well,
how many? Okay, here. Why don't we just throw the question? How many high elf archers could you?
You know what?
Let us know in the comments.
Here we go. Let me go here.
Uh,
We're going to be back next Monday. If you can catch us live, subscribe to the podcast and all good service and get an abridged version of every Tuesday of the show every Tuesday night on YouTube. Remember, when your life feels like a never-ending siege and things get any worse, join us here. Remember, it's always Grim After Dark. And a call to action. One of our unused questions right here.
okay.
How many current dwarf realms are listed in this army book's fluff section?
Okay.
Current dwarf realms.
Okay.
This is a great
Let's go in the
call to
comments.
action for a Warhammer 40k podcast.
Do some
except-
research.
Do some research, yeah. We're going to be that YouTube channel where do your own research. Let us know how many there is.
Just let us
We
know.
love
guys.
you all.
Let us know.
Actually, we don't know. John doesn't know. I don't know. Val doesn't know. Like, let us know.
Don't have
Help
that
us
book.
out.
We want to know.
Yeah.
Or just tell
I
us
mean,
something.
I know this kind of
Yeah, make something up.
counteract-
That'd be funny too.
it counteracts the call to action, but I have it written down like right there. How many there is?
Oh
don't know.
God! Can I press the outro button now?
Yeah.
Good night.
Press a button.
It's time to step into the grim darkness with nerds gather talking Warhammer madness. Grim After Dark, the podcast with the hosts John, Danny, and Val, but they're not the most. Claiming to be experts, but it's all a facade. Talking about battles and dice rolls, they're all odd. Trying to sound cool with their Warhammer talk, but I'm here to expose. It's all just squawk. Nerds, everywhere I see talking Warhammer this, like it's a decree. But let me tell you, homie, it is all just a game. In the real world, homie, we are not the same. So put down the dice, step out of the dark. It's time to live life, nerd, make your own mark. Grim After Dark, the nerds playground. Talking Warhammer this, acting all profound. But when I listen, it's all just a bunch of noise. I love roasting nerds and their stupid ass toys. Stupid ass toys, I wanna grab them. Put my hands around the neck, squeeze, Warhammer squeeze, until they can't breathe or breathe again. Tell a friend, I'm out here roasting nerds again.